friends. Thought I'd go over some quick tools of the trade. It's a real quick video to talk about the things that I use when I'm doing my cartooning. It's some things that you might want to practice and certainly should experiment with, and not just the media that I use and the tools that I use, but also some resources I use. So, I'm a big fan of Strathmore's Bristol board, and I use smooth surface. I use the size of the 11 by 14. The reason why is the strips, they should measure 13 inches by 4 inches. That's the ratio for the strip in most syndication. So that's what I'm going with. You need to get the 11 by 14. The surface is the more important part for me. I have smoother line, smoother finish. And I'm going to experiment with some of the brushes that I use and show you what that looks like. So, Bristol. I have a collection of ways of getting the marks on the paper. Right. I use an HB pencil and gummy eraser to do all the initial drawings. This is my preferred eraser because it doesn't leave the shreds around, the lines around. And I use the HB kind of somewhere in the middle. It's soft enough that it erases, but it goes on pretty light. I'll just draw a quick, I'll draw a quick octopus. That'll be our test guy for the demonstration today. And this is extremely sloppy. Please, I was not playing this until I started drawing that first circle. I was like, well, that could be an octopus. We'll just do it that much anyways. Okay, so HB, gummy eraser, when I've decided I've done too much. I use the microns a fair amount. I got away from these for a little bit, and I'll show you what I went into. But I'm back now using my microns. I like these a lot. Now, I use a 0.5 for the initial pass, and then the second pass to add width to the lines. I use a 0.2 for things like most of my shading, and every now and then I use a 0.003 or a 0.005 if I want to get really fine somewhere in the hair. I'll use quite that sharp, or if the picture is particularly small, I might use a 0.003. But 0.05 is my starting and go-to, and you'll see. The only thing about the micron that I find is I end up going through these really fast. You'll see on the lid of mine, I dated them. I put little stickers to let me know which the most recent ones. I leave behind the one almost recent and the most new one. I have a backup in case the very new one has some kind of problem and I don't want to stop drawing. I've got the ones before that, but that's generally as far back as I'll go. So this is what the 0.5 lays out like. Should probably come in a little bit closer. You can see what when I go in closer, you're going to lose. Never mind, you're going to lose focus, so I'm not going to do that. And the way that I do this, I'll go into more detail later on, is I do a single pass, then go through with the eraser after it's dry, and it should be just fairly quickly. Every once in a while I have to be careful not to smudge. And then do a second pass with the same 0.0 or 0.5, and I'll just kind of add in line thickness that way. So that's the microns. And the 0.2 for things like the circles that I put on them, or to do these kinds of shading lines. Just really make the eyeball look round. I stopped using the micron for a little while when I found the brush pen. Really very fond of the brush pen, but this brush pen in particular I really like. You can find several of these when you go to Amazon. The company Pentel is the brand of this one. The thing about these that I like is I have refillable wells, right? You buy the refillable wells. So I'm not having to buy a whole new pen. I'm only having to get the refills. And they sell in a pack of 8, which is plenty enough for me. The brush pen allows you to find that thickness just by how much more you bear down. So it doesn't really need a 1-pass, 2-pass kind of thing if you get in clean enough. And you'll see when you look at Calvin and Hobbes, Bill Artisan would use, it's obvious to me that he used a brush pen of a certain type, and I'm not sure if he used Pentels or what that he used, and he found an efficiency of line. I am not that comfortable with my efficiency of line. I feel like I have to add more and more lines, and when I do that with a brush pen on a small drawing like what fits into 13 by 4, I find that I want to have more lines in there than the brush pen will allow me to have. So, brush pen. The other one that I just started using, and I'm still getting comfortable with it, is a quill. The quill pens are really nice too. This is, I'm going to find the brand for you here. DULIO. I like it, but I'm not completely used to it. This also should give you depending on how much you bear down, a thickness and thin. You can vary the weight of the line. Now I've got friends who swear by these. I'm not there yet, but I do like the promise that it holds, and I hope with some practice I can get that. By flipping it upside down, I can get the thin lines. By putting it back on the quill, I can get the thicker lines. I feel like I'll get used to this eventually. I'm just not there yet. So the quill pen, nice to have. I also keep around a big fat thick Sharpie to cover the very large areas of dark. If I'm doing a very big black area, this is much more helpful with the big wedge tip, right, to cover areas quickly. And then I also have my Winston Newton brushes. I've already done one tutorial on these. I'll probably do a second one because that one was kind of long. You don't need to listen to 40 minutes to figure these things out, and I can certainly now speed up the video. But I do like the idea of getting tones in with these markers. They do a really nice job of having different when I want to add variation into the shading and these kinds of things. And I now trying to consider, should I digitally shade the work that I'm doing for the submission, or should I use traditional media? I probably will go with traditional media. I'm just most comfortable with it, and I'm hoping that it sets me apart as wow, this guy is going old school, but it looks nice. That again is my hope. So the Winston Newton markers, found this. And the same problem I have with the microns. I go through these pretty quickly. The Kickstarters where I did the Octopus Frazetta renders, I went through a whole case of those markers in that, in the 24 drawings I did, and they were this size, a half sheet of paper. After 24 of these, I have to get a whole new set of markers. So that is, and of course, pencil sharpener, right? That. So that is most of the media that I use. There's a few other things that I dabble with. I've got watercolor pencils. I'll go over those in a separate video at some time, but that is the majority of what I'm using when I'm doing the strips. Resources-wise, I've got plenty of books, but the two I'm going to concentrate on today, just to make this, to save time. Scott McCloud's Understanding Comics. Now, he's not really talking about exactly strips, but he is talking about sequential art and the way that one panel fits into another. All the things you want to learn about setting up each panel it's a composition, the idea of telling time, panel to panel, passage of time, dramatic camera angles, these kinds of things. And this book is invaluable. It's certainly one of those things that you really should have. Second book I found invaluable is Facial Expressions, this large tome of photographs, right? A lot of reference photographs. And when you're really trying to get either a strange angle or a strange expression, and you don't have a mirror is also helpful too. But for different body sizes, body types, if you want to draw, like if I'm trying to draw a really older person with more wrinkles than I have, I'm going to refer to the book. A younger person, younger than me, which is just about everybody, I'll refer back to the book. Longer hair, those kinds of things. I find a lot comes from having a book like this. So those, I think, are the most vital pieces of equipment you should have with you when you're setting out to start a strip. That's all for this quick video. We'll go through some other things, and I'll do more detailed versions of how I use each of these pieces in tandem with the other at the later time. So please, hey, subscribe to the channel. I'm hoping that I can provide some valuable information for all of you. Tell your friends about it if they're into cartooning, or pass along to any boards that you, or social media that you belong to, and send them my way. And I appreciate your paying attention. Cheers.